I think it starts with making the plays we're afforded the opportunity to make. I think the contrast between the first half and the second half is we took some shots in the first half, we connected on 0 of them. Then we took some more shots in the second half and we hit on them, and so that gives you an opportunity to earn first downs and get more plays off the call sheet and come back to some things that you adjusted and whatnot. And so we got to make the plays we're afforded the opportunity to make.
How can you just get off to a faster start throughout the course of the game?
Easy part is making those plays. We had an opportunity even on the first play of the game. But that's something that I take a very serious look at myself. How can I help guys with play calls early to get them into a rhythm, try to help them feel most comfortable and confident. And so we'll look at all that stuff and certainly have to start faster.
What did you think of Garrett's catch? And as a fan, how many times did you maybe go back and watch that one?
Yeah, I'm sure you saw some of my reaction. I think this game is best played with joy. And Garrett has this special ability to make those around him joyful with the way he plays. And so I just really appreciate those moments, to be a part of that, to be able to see it in person and to see him go make those plays is pretty unique. And you see what it does to the team. The whole sideline erupts, So when our playmakers are making plays, it's a fun thing to be a part of.
How do you replace Mike Williams in terms of that third receiver spot until Allen comes back?
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for a lot of guys. You have 3 guys in there that have been working really hard in that room. They've been busting their tails on scout team and, showing the things that they can do in their skill sets. And so between, Malachi and Gibson and Irv, those guys are all fighting for that opportunity. And I think the cool thing is how they've approached the week is just that. They're looking at it as how can I, prove my reliability in certain roles and, fight for that playtime.
We spoke to Malachi yesterday, and it seemed like he using it as a learning experience there. What did you say to him after the drop ball, which would have resulted in a touchdown?
Yeah, we have a lot of trust in Malachi. We got a lot of trust in all those guys that we give the ball to, and that's one of those unfortunate situations that's a really hard lesson to learn. I'd like to see us respond offensively a little bit better. It seemed to zap our energy a bit. I felt like we were out there celebrating. We had guys all over the place celebrating together, and then when it got called back or when it got turned over, we kind of lost that juice. But I think the biggest lesson for a young player like Malachi is that the smallest detail can become the biggest issue if you're not on your P's and Q's. So I expect he'll bounce back, and I know he's handled it the right way with his teammates and in the meeting rooms, and we're excited to see what he can do in the future.
It was a right for you, right, in offense when you have Garrett and Devontae, and they're playing the way they played the last game.
What is it like for me? I'm sorry.
You as a play caller and for an offense when you have those 2 guys playing like they can play.
Yeah, obviously it opens a lot of stuff up, and it makes it so that defenses, have to be honest with you and guard both sides of the field. It can lighten the box for the run game. It has a lot of really positive attributes. The great thing is you don't have to feel like you got to be perfect with a play call, because maybe the first option gets covered, but the second option is an A-grade player. So it helps have some peace of mind that way when you call something in, particularly in situations, that they may have a unique designer coverage to take away one player, that you have a second option that is an A player.
We spoke to Morgan Moses, and he told us what he's going through as far as the tear and fracture. Just when somebody they're putting their body on the line like that, how does that set the tone for the rest of the team?
Morgan's been a tone setter around here since the day I met him. He's just one of those unique human beings that is infectious to those around him. You want to be around them. You want to play well for them. You want to be out there with them. And so when he makes those kind of sacrifices, I think it makes everybody kind of reflect on themselves and say, well, how can I give a little bit more? And maybe where am I stopping short of all I have to give? And he's just so inspiring and such a great teammate. And for me personally, it's just been awesome to develop a relationship with him. And I really appreciate him.
What would be the challenges for Olu if he plays right guard again, now that teams have seen him there, they can prepare for him instead of him just getting thrown in there?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of challenges, right? even though he's getting a little bit more exposure there in practice, it's still the first week that he's worked at guard. But I commend his competitive spirit and his resolve in there. He didn't bat an eye. He just went in there and fought his tail off. I think certainly one of the challenges can be the communication. Right, he needs to make some of the line calls, and so getting used to that and communicating with Morgan and communicating with Tip, those are things that he's really got to kind of speed up and amplify this week. So that's something that we definitely got to push along.
How do you see the run game right now, and specifically Brees?
I think it's shy of the consistency we're looking for, but we're having some of the explosive runs that we're looking for, creating space for Brees. I like where he's at from a mindset standpoint. You can see that he's attacking things downhill. He's trying to stick his foot in the ground and make decisive cuts. So I think we're on our way, but we're not to our goal yet.
How have you, it's been a month since you moved into this role, how have you adjusted? What have you learned along the way now that you've had, I think, 4 games?
Yeah, it's been a blur of a month, I can tell you that. It's been a lot of work, but I'm really fortunate to be working with so many great individuals that have such high character and have been so supportive. I think one of the things that I'm really starting to get a little bit more comfortable with is just some of the personalities and the relationships that I deal with now in a different role than I was before, which has just been an absolute joy for me. And we got so many good guys on this team, but figuring out ways that you communicate with different individuals, figuring out what's important to them to feel like they're a big part of the game plan. All those are things that I want to take that information in and be a great servant to them in response. So that's been a fun part of it.